Hello students, this is Jayapai speaking. In this class, we are starting module 4 concepts for you. Module 4 is all about environmental chemistry and water chemistry. First, let us see something about water chemistry. Water is the most wonderful and precious gift of nature to all the living beings on the earth. Hope you agree with this. It is the most abundant and useful compound on the earth. It covers nearly 72% of the earth's surface. It covers nearly 72% of the earth's surface. On earth, 96.5% of planet's water is found in oceans and seas. 1.7% is found in ground water and 1.7% found in glaciers and ice caps, and 0.001%, very small amount, in air as vapor and clouds. This is how water is distributed in different parts of the earth. Moving on. Sources of water. Water sources are broadly classified into two types. That is, first type, it is surface water sources. Surface water sources include river water, rain water, lake water, sea water, etc. So surface water means it mainly includes rain water, river water, lake water and sea water. And underground water sources, that is second kind. Underground water sources include spring water, well water, bore water, etc. About all these things you are quite familiar with. I am not going to explain any of these things in detail. Moving on. Impurities in water. There are different types of impurities in water. First, dissolved gases. Water contains some gases like carbon dioxide and oxygen in the dissolved form. Some water may also contain ammonia and hydrogen sulfide. These are also gases. These gases may also be found in water. If these gases are found dissolved in water, then they impart a foul smell to water. Industrial water generally contains gases like ammonia, hydrogen sulfide, phosphine, etc. Now, dissolved solids. This is another type of impurities present. The soluble salt impurities present in water. Most of the impurities present in water in the soluble form, and they actually include salts of calcium, magnesium and sodium. Salts of calcium, magnesium and sodium, if they found, most of the times they are found in the dissolved form in water. Oxides of manganese, iron, lead and arsenic, they may also be present. All these, lead, arsenic and all, they are heavy metals and toxic metals. They may also lead to environmental pollution. Then we have third type, suspended impurities. Suspended impurities are nothing but dispersions of solid particles on the surface of water. Dispersions of solid particles, and these can be easily removed by filtration or by allowing the water to stand for some time, that is filtration or settling. They are of two types, suspended impurities. They may be inorganic impurities or maybe organic kind. If impurities such as clay means mud, silica, that is sand, SiO2, and oxides of iron and manganese, if they are found in water, then in the suspended form or in the colloidal form, they are inorganic type. Wood pieces, disintegrated particles of dead animals, leaves, fishes, bacteria, algae, protozoa, etc. They are of organic origin. These types of impurities may be largely found in the suspended form or colloidal form. They may be separated either by filtration or by allowing the water to stand for some time, that is by settling process. Then we have fourth type of impurities, that is microscopic matter. Many bacteria or microorganisms may also be present in water. Some of the bacteria or microorganisms, they are pathogenic in nature. Pathogenic means they are disease causing kind. They are the main causes for waterborne diseases. With this introduction, we are moving on to the main concept, that is boiler feed water. Your actual syllabus starts from here. Now boiler feed water is nothing but the water which is fed to boiler in order to generate steam. It is simple. Boiler feed water is nothing but the water that is fed to boiler in order to generate steam. That is called boiler feed water. We have already studied water available in nature contains different types of impurities. It could be in the dissolved form impurities, that is salts mainly. It could be in the suspended form. It could be organic impurities or inorganic impurities. It is a floating kind. And it may be colloidal impurities. Colloidal means dispersion kind. And it may also contain some dissolved gases. About all these we had some discussion briefly. If the concentration of aforesaid substances, means if the concentration of all the impurities whatever we have discussed, it is above the tolerance limit. There has to be some tolerance limit. If the concentration of the aforesaid impurities, it is above the permissible level, then they are sure to cause problems in a boiler. So impurities present in water are mainly responsible for causing problems in a boiler. The impurities of the kind that they may be present in the dissolved form, they may be present in the suspended form, they may be present in the colloidal form, they may be present in the dissolved gas form. Now let us see what are the boiler problems commonly observed. They are known as boiler troubles. Most commonly used boiler problems, that is first one, scale and sludge formation, is the major boiler problems. Second one, priming and foaming, and third one, boiler corrosion. These are the three commonly observed boiler problems, and the common reason for all these problems, the impurities present in water. And if we take such contaminated water in boiler to generate steam, then boiler is sure to come across all these problems. Now let us see first one, scale and sludge formation. This is, as far as examination is concerned, this one is very, very important. See, during the production of steam in a boiler, water is heated continuously under pressure in the boiler. So water is heated continuously under pressure in order to produce steam in the boiler. When steam is getting generated, we know that evaporation of water takes place. When steam is getting generated, evaporation of water takes place. As a result, water level goes on decreasing in a boiler. As a result, water level goes on decreasing and concentration of dissolved salts progressively increases. Concentration of dissolved salts progressively increases due to evaporation of water. Due to the evaporation of water, concentration of the dissolved salts progressively increases. And when the saturation level is reached, that is salt concentration going on increasing, when the saturation level is reached, then all the salt start getting precipitated. So when exactly the salt is precipitated, the reason is here water is getting evaporated because our aim is to generate steam. So water needs to be heated continuously under pressure. Then water level goes on decreasing and concentration of the dissolved salts goes on increasing progressively. When the concentration of the salt reaches a saturation level, when the saturation level is reached, then the salt gets precipitated. If the precipitate so obtained, if it is in the form of a hard deposit, there are two types of precipitates. If the precipitate thus obtained is in the form of a hard deposit, a thick deposit, and if it is coated on the walls of the boiler, then that deposit is called scale. So scale is a very hard deposit. It is a very thick deposit that gets coated on the walls of the boiler, then that is termed as scale. Removal of scale is not very easy. It is difficult. So because scale is very hard, it gets stuck to the walls of the boiler, and once it is adhered to the walls of the boiler, it cannot be easily removed. If the precipitate formed, on the other hand, is a loose, non-adherent and suspended in form. So if on the other hand, if the precipitate formed is a loose aggregation kind, non-adherent, it is not sticky to the walls of the boiler, and it is suspended in form, then it is called sludge. So from this you can make a very clear distinction. Scale is a hard deposit, whereas sludge is a soft deposit. Scale is adherent to the surface of the walls of the boiler, whereas sludge is non-adherent. And sludge is suspended in a form, scale is a sticky form. Hope you have followed. Now what are the causes for scale formation? How exactly scale is formed? What are the main reasons for the formation of scale? The various dissolved salts of water which are contributing for scale formation, they are given below. First one is calcium sulfate, then bicarbonates of calcium and magnesium, then magnesium chloride and silica. These are the impurities present in water in the dissolved form. They are causing scale. Now let us see how exactly. Calcium sulfate, it is having a beautiful property. It is soluble in cold water. Calcium sulfate is soluble in cold water, but as the temperature increases, its solubility decreases. So with increase in the temperature, its solubility decreases. So if calcium sulfate is present in a boiler feed water, what happens is in the cold condition it is soluble. When the boiler water is heated, the temperature increases, then solubility of calcium sulfate decreases. Therefore, At very high temperature, that is during the production of steam, the temperature will be very high, that is 100 degrees Celsius. At very high temperature and pressure, calcium sulfate gets precipitated because of decrease in the solubility. When it gets precipitated, it gets deposited on the walls of the boiler as a scale. So the salt getting precipitated and then getting deposited on the walls of the boiler as a scale. That is first type. Second, bicarbonates of calcium and magnesium. This if these salts are present in a dissolved form in water, upon heating, that is during the production of steam, the water is getting heated up to a very high temperature, and then these salts undergo thermal decomposition to give respective carbonates. So they are soluble in water. Magnesium, calcium carbonates, bicarbonates are soluble in water, but upon heating they undergo thermal decomposition to give insoluble carbonates. So you get magnesium carbonate and calcium carbonate. Carbon dioxide gas is evolved, leaving the water soft. Whatever water you are getting now after heating, it is absolutely free from calcium and magnesium ions. So that becomes a soft water. What I want to say here this insoluble bicarbonates are converted into insoluble carbonates. Insoluble means they get precipitated. When they get precipitated, they directly get deposited on the walls of the boiler. Slowly that gets converted into hard and thick deposit, and that is called a scale. Moving on. Presence of silica. Impurities in the form of calcium silicate and magnesium silicate may also be present in water. So silicate impurities, if present in water, they are slightly soluble in normal water. Their solubility is somewhat high, or you can say they are slightly soluble in normal water, but they are highly insoluble in hot water. This point to be noted. They are soluble in normal water but insoluble in hot water. Then what happens when such water containing calcium silicate and magnesium silicate is fed to boiler to generate steam? At high temperature, the solubility of calcium silicate and magnesium silicate decreases, and when solubility decreases, they get precipitated. When they get precipitated, they slowly get deposited on the walls of the boiler as a scale. Next, last type of salts, that is hydrolysis of salts of magnesium. If you are considering a salt of this kind, that is magnesium chloride. If this salt is present in the dissolved form in water, this undergoes hydrolysis, directly reacts with water, and it gets converted into magnesium hydroxide. Magnesium chloride is undergoing hydrolysis, reacting with water and getting converted to magnesium hydroxide. Magnesium hydroxide is a precipitate. If it is precipitate means then it gets deposited on the walls of the boiler and slowly getting converted into scale. So these are the main reasons for the scale formation. That is salts like calcium sulfate, calcium and magnesium bicarbonate, magnesium chloride, and silicates, silica impurities. Moving on. Now what are the disadvantages of scale formation? There are many disadvantages. First one is wastage of fuel. Since a scale is formed on the inner walls of the boiler and scale being a non-conductor of heat. It is a poor conductor of heat. When water is heated by supplying fuel in a boiler, what happens is the heat that is supplied is first received by the metal body of the boiler, and then that heat has to pass through the scale that is deposited on the inner walls of the boiler. Since the scale is a non-conductor, or it is a poor conductor of heat, the heat supplied to the boiler is not effectively transferred to water. It is not effectively transferred to water. Hence, more heat needs to be supplied continuously in order to produce steam in the boiler. It is not enough if you supply less amount of heat, because less amount of heat if you supply means that will not be passed on to the water in the boiler, because the heat that is supplied first reaches the metal body, then from there it has to go to the inner walls where there is a scale, but scale is a poor conductor of heat, and therefore heat doesn't get passed on to the water. Therefore more heat continuously needs to be supplied, leading to wastage of the fuel. Second point, danger of explosion. When the boiler contains a scale on the inner walls, what happens is when we are heating the boiler, the heat that is supplied first is absorbed or received by the body of the metal body of the boiler, and then the metal body expands. But as it expands, the scale that is adhered to the inner walls of the boiler, being a poor conductor of heat, does not expand to the same extent. When the metal body expands due to the absorption of heat, the scale that is deposited on the inner walls of the boiler doesn't get expanded to the same extent, as it is a poor conductor of heat. So when there is no expansion of the scale, there will be formation of cracks on the surface of the scale. When cracks are produced on the surface of the scale, the water pricks in, the water gets into the cracks, and immediately water touches the hot metal body of the boiler, and it immediately gets converted into steam, exerting pressure on the walls of the boiler. When the pressure exerted on the boiler is very high, there is a chance of that may lead to explosion of the boiler. So when the boiler with the scale on the inner walls is heated, so scale is very dangerous. Scale on the inner walls, and now you are heating the boiler. Now metal takes the heat first and it expands. When the metal absorbs the heat, it expands, but the scale does not expand. But the scale on the inner walls does not expand, as it is an insulator, a bad conductor of heat. So because of this effect, there will be formation of cracks on the scale. There will be formation of cracks on the scale, because scale is not getting expanded to the same extent the metal body expands, through which water pricks in. Now there is a crack on the scale. Now through the crack water gets into, or it pricks in, and that water comes in contact with the hot metal body of the boiler and immediately gets converted into steam, because the metal body is quite hot. That steam thus obtained or thus formed, it is exerting pressure on the walls of the boiler, and that may lead to explosion. So this is second one. Third one, it reduces boiler efficiency. Because of deposition of scale, boiler parts get corroded, which reduces the efficiency of the boiler. So that you are going to study somewhat in detail in the next session probably, that how exactly boiler parts get corroded because of the deposition of a scale, and how as a result there will be reduction in the efficiency of the boiler. Increase in cleaning expenses. In order to retain the efficiency of the boiler, it has to be cleaned periodically to remove scale. So the boiler inner walls, they are to be cleaned periodically, from time to time they are to be cleaned, and they are all those scale that is deposited to be removed. So that actually increases the cleaning expenses. It leads to increase in the maintenance expenditures. As far as examination point is concerned, it is enough if you write only the side headings. That is, disadvantages of scale formation. That is, first one, wastage of the fuel. Second one, danger of explosion. Third one, that is reduction in the boiler efficiency. Fourth one, increase in the cleaning expenses. Now, causes for sludge formation. Now we have already studied sludge is a form of a precipitate. It is aggregation of impurities, and the property of the sludge is that it is soluble in hot condition. It is soluble in a hot condition, but less soluble or not soluble in cold condition. The sludge is actually a precipitate formed, and it is a loose, non-adherent, suspended form of the precipitate, and this kind of impurity actually precipitate that is found to be soluble in hot condition. Sludge is highly soluble in hot condition, but it is not soluble in cold conditions. The impurities of water which cause sludge formation are generally, these are the salts: magnesium carbonate, sulfates and chlorides of calcium and magnesium. If sludge is not removed periodically, then slowly it may get converted into scale. Now, what are the disadvantages of sludge formation? Just like scale, sludge is a poor conductor of heat. So both scale and sludge are poor conductors of heat. Therefore, boiler needs to be heated very strongly in order to produce steam, resulting in the wastage of the fuel. Whatever heat we are supplying, it is received first by the metal body, and later it has to go to water through the sludge or scale. When sludge is there, which is a poor conductor, so it does not pass that heat effectively to water. Therefore, large amount of fuel is required to heat boiler constantly and continuously. That will result in the wastage of the fuel. Sludge reduces the efficiency of the boiler. If sludge is there and if it is not periodically removed, then slowly it gets converted into scale and it gets deposited on the walls of the boiler. That may lead to boiler explosion, and it may lead to corrosion of various parts of the boiler, so thereby reducing the efficiency of the boiler. Sludge also increases the cleaning expenses as they are to be removed periodically. So some of the disadvantages, most of the disadvantages here are very, very common when you compare it with the scale. So as far as examination point is concerned, it is enough if you remember all these points. That is all about scale and sludge. So if you have, hope I have made things very clear to you, and I believe that it is a very simple concept. Anybody can understand. By watching this video only once, you will be able to follow what scale and sludge are. If you still feel that things are not very clear, obviously you can watch the video again In your second attempt, definitely things will be more clear. Still, if you feel some assistance is required from the teacher's side, anytime you can call and get your doubts clarified. So that's it from me. Thank you.